Yeah. Sierra, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Hi, I'm doing great. Did I get to speak with you after Thanksgiving? I'm getting a crazy blend of
No,
who
this
jumping
is
on.
my
I
first
didn't think
post
so. How was
Thanksgiving.
got it? This is our first one post Thanksgiving. Hi. How was Turkey Day?
Good, good. It was nice. We went my family visit my family in Utah. It was very cold, which I don't like the cold.
Oh,
I'm a Southern California baby that does not like it when it is below 70. Um, and at
man.
one point it was like 45 and raining with wind, and I was outside and we went horseback riding, and I was like, this is beautiful. I want to go home.
Oh,
uh,
yeah, that's nice. I like it when I get family time and then I just don't work at all. I mean, luckily what we're doing right now doesn't really feel like work to me because it's fun and I like to, build
Good.
with you guys, but the stress of it. I don't like the stress of it. We need to make the stress all go away.
But it was wonderful to see my family. We got a couple hikes in. I went horseback riding. We ate
Oh, wow.
leftovers for days. And I spent half the time curled up under an electric blanket, drinking hot cocoa, like reading. And I'm like, this is wonderful. Great vacation.
Oh, that's like heaven. So have they always had horses? Are you a horse riding
No, my
girl
dad
or
just wanted, because it was one of like the few times that like my whole family went. So we got an Airbnb kind of a little bit more like in the mountains from like the like 20 minutes outside of like the town where my aunt and uncle live. And so it was my husband and I, it was my mom and dad, my sister and her boyfriend. We were all got like in like the house. And my dad's like, I want to do a family activity, like not just sitting around the house, hanging out, talking and things like that. He's like, I want to go out. I want to do an activity as a family. And so he was like, we can go horseback riding. We can go ATV. He's like, I want to go do something and not just hang out. And we're like, whatever you want to do. So
Right.
he's like, let's all go horseback riding. We're like, okay. So just a fun
That's
thing
amazing.
to do other than just sit around with the family and play board games and go on a couple of hikes. So he just wanted to mix it up a little bit. And we were all like, okay, sounds good.
Aw, that's amazing. All right, well, good. I'm glad you had a really good time. And
What
how
about you?
was it
How'd you
coming?
do? What'd you guys do?
Oh, I had a great time. It was very low key. I had family come over. We ended up being boring and playing those board games. However, ours was completely inappropriate. It was great fun, and we have some on video. So I
I
am
love it.
calling that a
Oh,
win.
we played board games. Oh, don't worry. We
Oh, okay.
played
So you did that
board
too.
games and we got very, very aggressive during Uno to the point where we officially had to change seats because people kept targeting each other.
Oh, my.
So it was great. It was great. It
I don't
literally
know
got
how
to
I feel about
one
thinking
point
about
where
you as aggressive. I don't think I could do it. Like you're like the easy breezy, like I'm just gonna make stuff happen, you know. So you being aggressive is funny to me. It's probably like a whole side of you that I just have never seen.
no, the whole family, we all like ended up like targeting each other. And so it got to the point, actually, my dad and my sister's boyfriend, they got intense with each other. The amount of back and forth of the like skipping and reversing so you can't do it, and the draw twos and the draw fours just to screw each other over. It was nuts. So
Got it. So
good time.
aggressive Uno.
It was aggressive,
That's
you know.
all right. That's a whole thing. I didn't even know that was a thing. That's a thing. Got it.
Yeah, so we switched after that to
That
I don't know if you ever played Farkle. It's a dice
what
game
is that?
and
No.
I love it. It is so much fun. The only thing you have to do is like very minimal math. And so depending on how many drinks you're in, we just bring out the phone calculators. And we're all
Oh my
yelling
God.
and helping each other out. And it's just, you have to just roll the dice and you keep rolling until you can't make a score out of it. In which case then
Stop
it's
it.
called farkling. And you're SOL and you bust and you get no points. Or you can be conservative and stop and be like, okay, well, I was able to collect a little bit of points, and you add up and then you have to get to 10,000. That's a fun one.
Wow. That does sound fun. I'm gonna have to check that one out. I'll look.
That one's a good one for like a group and with like no strategy. So it depends on, you know, if you've got a family with various levels and you guys want to just like drink and play a game that doesn't really require much thinking, that is the go-to.
Oh yeah, no,
for
that's
our
me.
family.
That's amazing. Well, so what can I help you
Okay.
with for office hours?
While I'm here,
I'm segueing because
so,
otherwise I'll go down a rabbit hole and look up all of the
yeah,
board
we'll
games.
just sit here and do that all day.
Yeah,
So
that's exactly what'll happen.
I wanted to talk with you because the last time I was talking with you guys, we were talking about doing like the email campaigns and the offers, and you had mentioned about making sure you do the multiple drips and the reminders and the touches and like the phone calls and all of that sort of stuff. So we, you know, we're putting that effort into doing that, but I feel like we need to come up with like a better strategic plan, which we weren't able to fully like execute in this time period, but for moving forward, wanting to do that. But that comes into where I've got a couple of questions in that realm of, we've had a couple of issues of using like softwares such as like MailChimp or things like that, where either we're getting blacklisted or we're getting thrown into the junk mail and the people aren't seeing the emails.
Yep, that is a very common issue. So people
right
have
now, then we've got the
it's not the same as it used to be a couple years ago.
Okay. Because then we've got the issue of like, well, now it's like we're like sending out like in chunks, like, you know, like blind copying like 20 people and just sending out the same email. But like right now, we've got like a list of like 600. It's like that's going to take forever if we're doing chunks of like 20 people and then it's from our personal email. And then it becomes well, is it me sending it? Is it Angela sending it? Is it Pam sending it? should we create a brand new email to do that?
Yes.
We can do it. And then there's the issue of like, do we need to like warm the email so that it doesn't end up in junk mail if it's a brand new email we created just to do this?
So you are on the right track.
So these are all the questions that like while we're talking about this have come up, and we're like, okay, I just need to ask Alex and get her opinion on all of these things.
Yeah. So okay, so here's let me compartmentalize it for you, because you asked a couple of different questions, but it all leads to the same: I can't get my emails to deliver, right? That's kind of the number one.
How, I guess,
Okay.
how to send them and how to make sure that they are being in people's mail inboxes.
Yep. Okay. So there's a couple of different ways to do it. Rule of thumb is to have a second or third even, or fourth or fifth domain with another email that has like Triumph Technology Group in it, or Triumph in it, or something that still is attached to your business name. Could be Triumph Tech LLC, could be Triumph GRP, could something that still says who you are, right? The reason for that is because I would much rather that domain get blacklisted or shut down than the one that you guys operate from a sales perspective. When you are doing that, you're going to set up a sort of a ghost account. We have Lisa at a CyberSells account. We have a Heather at one of our other clients' accounts. We have all of these sort of marketing accounts. Typically what we'll do is we'll find an androgynous name, and that way anybody that answers can kind of be that person. Or you just have that be the marketing contact, but you do want to have a name on it. You don't want to have marketing outreach at, you don't want to have sales at, you don't want to have info at, you need a name. It can be any name, but it's got to be a name. It could even be yours, but it's at that other domain. What you want to do,
Pam at one of those.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yep, absolutely. Another thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to send from those domains. You do want to warm it. There are different techniques to warm it, which I can actually send you a couple of articles that will help you with that, because this is when we start getting into the world of digital marketing, and we are not necessarily digital marketers. We're good at it, but we have really good partnerships with people that can do this for you. So if you need help along those lines, it works so well if you warm it up and have, at least like 10 emails coming from those emails per day. You can automate it. It can go to a list. But if you're going from your domain, you're doing yourself a disservice. You also have a couple of tools like Plenty or Apollo, where you can actually pull lists and send directly from those with those email addresses, which we have links, affiliate links in our, do you remember the affiliate tool or the preferred tools PDF that we have inside of the Google Drive and the platform?
No.
Do you want me to send it to you again? I'll send it to you again. All right, I'll make sure you get that.
There, I just don't remember it.
No, that's fine. It tells you what we use, how to use it, and then it gets you a link directly to it. So you get preferred pricing, and it tells you what to do. You can use tools like Lemlist to do that for warming, and that works really well. There's also one called Mark. So there's a couple of different ones that you can utilize. From there, what we want to do is we want to send, and listen, this is not, I am not the expert on this. I have people that work with me that are the experts on this, but I know enough to be dangerous. And then I also run a team that does this for a living. So, I'll get the resources for you. I just want you to kind of map this out as a high level, and then we can get really into the weeds on it. But that's number one, right? So number one, you need additional domains. From there, you need to pull a list of your prospects, but I wouldn't necessarily burn those warm prospects that have actually like raised their hand and said, hey, reach out to me. Those are the people that you want to send individual emails from. And that can be from your domain, because they want to hear from you, Sierra, at Triumph Office, right? So those are fine. Just send those in an 8-day cadence. But proactive outreach to prospects has to be from another domain
Okay.
if you're going to do an email blast like that. Okay, so now we get into the list pulling and top of funnel, right? So we've done top of funnel opt-ins, and those don't come in as fast as, say, a list of 2,000, 3,000 people, right? So when that happens, it's not that big of a deal. It can go, those warmer leads can go into a funnel where you are responding to them directly, because it's a services lead. It's not like e-commerce, right? We're not going top of funnel and then not really touching them because we're just nurturing them with ads. This one, it's, hey, they're interested, they want an asset, so they want somebody in sales to reach out to them. So that can come directly from you. But if you're pulling a list and sending out true email blasts for like 2,000, 3,000 people, must be from another domain. And we want to pull that from a Clenty or an Apollo. I would not spend the money for you on Zoom Info right now, because you already have Sales Navigator. You are potentially getting Meet Alfred, and you can email from that as well. And then you also have Mark. So there's a couple of different tools to prevent yourself from getting stuck in spam world.
Okay.
Are you feeling overwhelmed yet?
Just a smidge. Just a smidge.
Okay. So yeah, I'm trying to break it down into problem solution. So
I mean, like
number
the
one,
beginning of having a different domain, I know that there's already a handful of ones that like, we've like gotten, but I don't know if they're the right ones to use. But I mean, that's an easy enough fix. The setting up the email and doing that. Then there's the option of how to warm it, whether or not we want to use one of those services, which we need to look into those, or if we want to just hop on it every day and send ourselves.
I would not do that.
Which sounds
I
like
would absolutely.
yeah.
It's not even a pain. It's impossible to keep up with.
Okay.
Like, it's like, there's no way. How would you, I mean, listen, I'm not going to say there's no way, but there's a better use of your time
Right.
than going through and seeing who you sent an email to yesterday when you're just trying to keep the email domain warm. So you know what I mean? Like, and it can be generic. It can be an email of like, hey, this is what's new at Triumph. And you could go through that and work through a list of 1,000 and just put that on autopilot utilizing a tool like Apollo or Lemlist. Lemlist is great. Lemlist, you don't even have to worry about really. You just, you put in an initial conversation or an initial, oh gosh, what is it? It's like an initial sort of value proposition, and it sort of crowdsources warming. And it's a really cool way to do it. And it's really funny because you'll actually start seeing responses from other Lemlist users in that mailbox, and it says the most random stuff. I mean, like, it talks about giraffes flying airplanes and the geese are flying low to the ice. Like, I mean, it's just like a whole thing that doesn't make any sense, but it doesn't matter on the content because all it's doing is warming the domain. Doesn't matter what's going out there. So you don't even have to pull a list.
it just sends it out to other people on Limlist so that all of you
Yep,
guys stay warm together. And you guys agree, hey, you're gonna send me junk and I'm gonna send you junk, but we're gonna stay warm so that when we actually use it works. Okay.
It totally works. It's something, I hate to say that we're gaming the system a little bit, but when I tell you that it has changed over the years, like, it's funny, there used to be a time when people would add themselves to email lists, right? Like back in the AOL dial-up days, where, do you remember, like, this is probably dating myself, but where you would want to be on somebody's email list and it was almost like a popularity contest, like you made it, right? Like you made it on somebody's email list. And now we are getting inundated with so much spam, and 8 touches to even recognize a domain, and some of it never sees the light of day because these people don't understand what's necessary. So that's one of the ways you get around it, and it's just warming, right? So it's, you know, it's email management that really just sort of helps to streamline the process of warming, and it is optimizing that domain. So it's personalized enough, but it's warming. You can also utilize these tools though to send personalized emails and manage follow-ups. So if you do want to funnel a list in that is true prospects, which is that very, very high top of funnel where they haven't raised their hand and said, hey, I want to talk to you, there's no reason for those people to be in your CRM anyways.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? Like, you don't want to add noise.
The one thing, like, you know, we had very limited success with using MailChimp, but that's just where we kept ending up in like the junk mail. And so we were talking about it. We're like, okay, there's HubSpot, but we're like, we don't want to add the 600 people that attended a webinar once and never actually talked with us, but we have their email. Correct. I don't want to put them in HubSpot.
No, you don't. And that's the right call. Absolutely the right call. So those people, so we have a way of using Lemlist to warm. We also utilize Clenty as a tool, and we also utilize Apollo. So we end up using all three. But we do that because it's our job to know the best to use so that we can be your advocate. So I would not recommend using all three of those tools. I would say standardize, right? Like, you know, we use Apollo because we can pull lists and prospect and then also send things from a separate domain or ours. We use Clenty because the automation and campaign build is stronger. We use Lemlist because it warms the emails better. So there's pros and cons to everything, but Lemlist I think might be the one. So I'll send you the PDF tool, but I will also send you Lemlist because I'm not entirely sure if that made it onto the PDF tool PDF, or I'm sorry, the tool preferred tools PDF. I can't talk. Listen to what I mean, not what I say. So I'll send you that so that you have the preferred pricing on that too.
I appreciate it.
Yes, that would probably be the best way to do that.
Yeah, because I'm looking in the Google Drive folder that you shared with me and I'm not seeing it.
That's fine. I'll send it over. Or actually, Nick's on. Hi, Nick.
Hello.
I'm multitasking right now. Can you send over the PDF of our affiliate tools?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No problem.
And then I'll check to make sure when I'm not trying to record this and look up what I think is going to work best for you. Because I'm looking at my pros and cons. I have a separate file where I have pros and cons for everything, so I can make sure and keep things straight so that when I'm telling you what to use, it's I know it's accurate. So that's why I'm doing that right now.
I love that.
I know, right? It helps when other people do the research for you, doesn't it? So that's the first thing you want to do. I think you need to have probably, I would say 3. How many domains do you guys have right now?
I don't know. That's not something I'm really in on or pay attention to. Because they're more of just like connections, or things like that. Like they're not like active. It's just more of like they just like if someone clicks on it, it just automatically goes to like our page.
Okay. Yeah, so it's just a redirect. I got you.
I know some of them are like the super random ones on like a certain product or phrase or something like that that we commonly use. Or for like an older company that we were like once a part of or that's kind of become Triumph now. So I need to check and see whether or not any of those actually say Triumph. I don't know.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. So we need, because you can get a domain really cheap and it'll just ensure better results. But the nice thing
I don't know if we have like, you know, I don't know if we've got the like, you know, triumphgroup.com and triumphgroup.net or something like that. It's like, great, we'll use the .net then or whatever.
Sure. Yeah. And, you know, and one of the things that I'll say about the tools that we're sending over to you, you're also going to want to warm your current domain, because now I think you've probably sent so many from your current domain that you're going to be fighting a little bit of an uphill battle. So you're going to want to actually warm that one up as well. Not that, so here you want to accomplish three things, right? Deliverability out of your current domain, because you don't want to get blacklisted, especially if you're sending a contract and they never see it, right? That's a problem. So we want to warm the one that you've got. You want to warm up the new ones, and then you want to deliver top of funnel marketing outreach.
What was the about top of funnel?
Marketing outreach. You want to deliver, you want to make sure that the deliverability is there so that they can get into your funnel that you're building.
Okay.
Is this starting to become a little bit easier to understand as we compartmentalize?
Yeah, and then, like I feel like at least like right now I've got a game plan, because like going into this, and that's part of the reason I was like, okay, let me see if I can talk with Alex about this. I was like, okay, what email should I be using? What software should I be using? How are we going to be going about this? I was like, there's just so many like moving parts to make sure that we're actively doing this. So like right now, I told Pam and Angela, I'm like, all right, we are going to try the Alex way, and right now we just have to use our email. And let's just see if anything happens. The worst thing that happens is nothing happens, which is already kind of happening. So
right. Yeah. And that's a problem when you're already having deliverability issues and inbox issues. For
well,
Lewis,
that's what, like I don't know, because like if we were using MailChimp, we aren't using that. So then it just became like Angela or I would send out the mass email, but then we've got zero analytics on it because it's just coming from my email. I'm like, I don't know how many people opened up the email, especially when I'm only sending it to like 15 to 20 people at a time.
Mm-hmm.
And sending the same email out multiple times. I'm like, I don't have the analytics on that. On is it even being opened? Is the link even being clicked? And maybe I could get analytics on that, but like that's not, you know, Outlook doesn't have that kind of analytics that you would probably have and all of the other softwares you mentioned.
Right, right. And the thing is that you want to make sure that if you are sending this stuff out from your personal emails, you can still do it out of HubSpot, but that is no longer a marketing email. That is a sales email. And we need to be really specific about segmenting out your list. So when you're segmenting out your list, you've got your marketing qualified leads.
Mm-hmm.
So those are people that you have had people sign up, you've had people raise their hands, you've had people show interest or show up to a webinar. So they've attended something, they've taken action. That's a marketing qualified lead. And I know we've gone over this before, but this is just, I'm not trying to review something, but sometimes it's good to go back to basics and just review. So yes. You've got that piece. Then you've got just cold outreach. Those aren't even leads yet. Those are prospects. Okay. So that's who you want to get with some sort of an outbound outreach where it's cold. It's not going to kill your domain. It's not going to kill your other domain. It's not going to spam. And typically what we want to do is we've had very, very successful email campaigns where at least they click on a landing page, right? But what we want to do is we want them to click on a landing page and then do something, whether it's, get a hold of that asset, which then brings you to that original funnel that we were talking about with the offer. If they're giving you an email so that they can get a checklist, if they're giving you an email or a phone number or something to where they're saying, yep, I'm now a hand raiser. Now you have that go from cold outreach to a marketing qualified lead. Right? They don't necessarily want a phone call. They don't necessarily want to speak to somebody, but they're showing interest. They want one of your assets. They're doing something. Now you can email them from a warm domain and say, hey, saw that you were interested in this thing. Would love, here's the download.
Mm-hmm.
And then join our newsletter, or join XYZ, or whatever it's going to be, right? Or join,
So do
join
you
our VIP.
recommend, like, I mean, there's like the people that are now in like the sales versus the marketing, that should come from my email when I'm talking with them, because they've now moved on from marketing to like, hey, we're actually talking about a specific thing, and there's a very high possibility that I'm getting money from you.
Yes. Well, so now you just jumped, right? So what I'm saying is the first email going to them is a marketing one.
Yeah,
Then
I'm
once
going in reverse order just to, make it difficult for you.
right. Well, I mean, listen, you're doing a great job.
And then we should have the domain for the warm marketing. And then would you recommend having a domain for like the cold people?
Yep, you could do from the same one as the warm marketing, depending on how
Okay.
strong that campaign or how strong that domain is, and how strong of a job you've done on warming it. But either way, right, you need to at least, I would say, have 3. Because what happens when one gets shut down? You want to always have a backup. It's almost like a payment processor, right? Like we've had issues where something doesn't process properly because, I don't know, Stripe decides to hold our funds. We better have a backup, because people want to get paid, right? So you don't want them to hold the funds for 30 days. Same thing with your outreach, your emails, the same logic applies. If they shut down your email and you can't deliver anything, you better have a backup.
Okay.
And that's just setting up the infrastructure for your outreach. Now, if you're working it in reverse, because now you and I have now met at the right point, because we've gone past the marketing qualified and somebody actually took action where they say, yep, book a meeting, or yes, I'd like to hear from you, or yes, please, give me that assessment. Now you can do an outreach. And that's where I would go from your domain, your personal email, and you're doing an 8-day touch cadence. That's that strategy we were talking about weeks ago. I don't know if you were on that. I think you were. You were on that meeting, right?
Yeah.
Where we were talking about the 8-day touch strategy. I know I talk about it a lot. So I mean, that one you should know. But that's the one where it's, you're calling every single day. You may not be leaving a voicemail, but you're calling every single day, and you're not emailing every single day. But the days that you leave a voicemail, probably going to send an email, right? Hey, I missed you. I just left you a voicemail, right?
Yeah.
So it's that 8-day touch cadence. That's the probably most statistically the most converting from a sales rep that I've seen. I'm sure there's better, but that's the one I use, and it seems to work well.
Right. Okay. I have a to-do
Okay.
list. I have
You
to do a
do have
little
a
research.
Are you feeling overwhelmed, or are you feeling like you're in a good spot?
I think I'm okay. I mean, I'm probably
Okay.
gonna come back with you for questions, because let's just be honest here.
Okay, that's fine. That's why we have office hours. That's the whole point. Oh, by the way, I took yours, Angela's, Lewis's feedback, and we are switching the communication platform to Discord. It's already set up. You guys are going to have a link. So
Okay.
in the midst of you guys setting this up and utilizing Lemlist or utilizing Plenty or any of it, you can shoot us a question anytime. We will get a notification and we will respond as soon as we can.
Cool.
Yeah, it'll be easier.
And then I guess the last question I had is, like, we were kind of going around, and I mean, we've got a very like weird spread of like when we think about like what like the contact list is.
Mhm.
And so, and like we have a handful of different offerings. And at one point we were talking, and it seemed like we were going to be having like 3 different email marketing campaigns, like almost going at like the same time.
Yep.
Wanted your opinion on that.
So you're talking about segmenting your list and having specific messages for each of the types of contacts, correct?
I guess so. I mean, it was partial like segmenting, and then that's where we had started to have the conversation, and I think we were all of varying opinions on it. So I was like, what does Alex have to say? Because I mean, some of it was like, okay, well, if we put someone onto this list and we're removing them from that list, or they're getting 2 emails of 2 different things potentially overlapping.
Got
which
it.
I was
Yeah,
like, that
you don't want
sounds
to do
like a
that.
bad idea.
Yeah, that's not a great idea. You don't want to have double. You can have duplicative messages. So for example, you can have an overlapping message from one list to another. But I would listen, the more you can segment, the better, because the more fine-tuned your messaging to a specific market is. So for example, we have 3 types of campaigns going. One to IT vendors that have funding. We have one that is going to MSPs that are a little bit larger, that are going through mergers and acquisitions and need help managing their sales teams, and they're looking to expand. And then we have another group that is the smaller, like the scrappier MSPs, MSSPs, and service providers that need this type of a supportive environment, right? That doesn't mean that eventually Triumph does so well that they move over to the other group, right? But we segment you guys so that when we send something out, we know exactly what you're seeing. And some of it can be like our newsletter, right? Our newsletter is going to be pretty universal all the
And
time.
that'll probably
So
go
we
out
know
to every group. Yeah.
that goes out to everyone, right? Like, check out our newsletter. You're going to get to see about the cruise. You're going to check out that we did TechSellerate. You can see the book that we published. Amazing. You know what I mean? You can see all the things and be all excited about the CyberSells crew, and we're excited about you, and it's a whole love fest, right? But at the same time, when you're talking about the IT vendors, they don't care what the MSPs looking to merge and acquire are doing from a how they're growing their business and their team. They care, how do we talk to MSPs and how do we get in front of them? Conversely, MSPs, larger MSPs that are looking to hire and acquire and merge and build sales teams and scale, at that level, they're not concerned about how to warm up emails and how to work through processes because they've already figured that piece out. So we're focused on a different type of conversation with them. Then there's your group where it's like, okay, we got to figure out some infrastructure here, because otherwise it's going to be just too much for our small team. So it's very different conversations that we're having, and that's okay. But we have to, that's the power of segmentation.
So do you have a recommendation on like how to focus on the segmenting, or is it just you kind of need to figure it out on how that works for you individually?
So
one of the things I struggle to go with.
Yeah. So one of the things I struggle with your group specifically is that I think you guys need a tighter understanding of the offerings for the smaller women-owned businesses that you guys are focusing on. And then there's a group that you focus on for training, and then there's a group that you focus on for the services. Now, the training can absolutely go to, they can expand, they can go through next steps, they can be transitioned, and you can always upsell and you can always cross sell to them, right? But you got to have a line in the sand of what you're saying to people. And again, you can overlap, right? You can overlap messages. So it's not like you can't say the same things to these people, but you need to have a clear distinction of how they came in, what was the asset that they wanted to download, what were they interested in the first place. Something that I think I've shared this with you. One thing that Fred Vicola over at Kaseya does really, really well is he ensures that the group of sales reps are bringing people in a frictionless way. It means they're not trying to oversell additional services. They get them in with what they're interested in, and then they focus on cross-selling. If it works for a behemoth like Kaseya, it'll work for you.
Because like I guess that's where I personally am having the issue on figuring out how to segment our list. Is am I segmenting them by size? And then if it's a campaign that works for a large variety, then I'll send it out to everyone. Or am I segmenting it out by what my goal product that I'm selling them is?
Don't
Like,
segment it out by the product that you sell,
okay.
segment it out by the audience that you have. So in any of what I just said, between our three audiences that we speak to, did you hear one thing that I said that I push on them?
Mm-hmm.
I only talked about who they are and what they need to hear.
Yeah.
I talked about how they came in. I talked about how we communicate with them, what they're interested in. That's how you need to look at it. Now, depending on what service you're offering, right? Depending on what the initial play is, and you can test it. That's the beauty of this. So I get really excited when we start talking marketing, even though I work sales enablement and sales acceleration, and we're talking about building out your sales machine. One does not preclude the other, and you end up like a good marketing team can really strengthen a sales team, and the sales team tells the marketing team exactly what they need, right? So when you guys are super tight and you guys are, everybody's wearing different hats, you have to think about it in terms of how am I serving my customer even before they're my customer? So what do they need to hear? What is gonna translate to them? And then when we have that conversation, okay, now we understand what they want to hear. And then we go back to that initial resume that you guys filled out, right? Who's your client? Who's not your client? What is your offering? And why are they interested in it? You go back to basics. Once you go back to basics and you really look at that resume and you look at the definitions that you did 12 weeks ago, I think it'll be a lot clearer of the conversation you're going to have with each of those prospects, because you hold true to your personal and professional values of, and you understand what they need and what they hold special and what their motivation is. Does that make sense? Am I making sense? I feel like
no, it does.
okay.
I just, when you're saying all of that, I just feel like there needs to be a time where I think I'm going to need to just completely remake the list. And separate it out, and then it's okay, we're gonna do this campaign, and it almost like I feel like it'd be more beneficial to have like
separate
10 lists,
Yep.
And then be like, okay, great, this one can go to all 10, or this one can go through to list 1 through 8, like, or like things like that. But it'd almost be easier to be like, okay, here's the people that attended a webinar and never did anything. These are the people that attended a webinar and had very minimal interaction. So we at least know they're kind of interested in cyber. Here's the people that like actually talked with us. Here's the people that talked to us
One thing that
on a specific product.
That you can do without doing the manual process, because I hear what you're saying, right? When they come in to your HubSpot, I know, are you guys using the free HubSpot right now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I don't know if this is a limitation. So you'll have to inform me, or else I can reach out to our HubSpot rep, because he's very supportive and he's very good at giving good feedback. But essentially, if somebody takes action and comes in through any of the campaigns that you run and you put a tag on it, it will be associated with those tags. So then you don't have to necessarily create your own list. You can pull a list based on certain activities or tags. And that way you're not having to separate and do all of that manual labor, because I hear what you're saying, and all of a sudden that just sounds really exhausting and I wouldn't want to do it. So if you can go into your CRM, and this is the power of the CRM beyond sales, right? So when you're looking at your CRM and you're associating it to a specific tag, and those tags are the attributes of activity. You can also associate, I'm thinking in terms of the free version, because when you're using the paid pro version and you're on the marketing side or you're on the sales side, there's ways to bring it in without you having to even differentiate. You just say, okay, yep, show me all of it, all of this leads activity, and you can kind of go from there. So that is kind of where I would go first, as opposed to breaking it up.
All right. I've got plenty to process.
I know. I'm sorry.
Oh no, I mean, this is exactly what I was coming to you for, because like these were the questions that started to get brought up, and everything was either we had varying opinions on how to move forward, or we were like, we have no idea how to move forward. So it became all right, let's ask Alex. So I now have,
Well, I'm glad to be of service.
I now have, okay, here's a to-do list, and step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, here's how we do it. And here's the things to consider, and kind of slightly change, the mindset a little bit.
Yep. There is a company that actually does this. They're very, very good. Now, I know you guys are not in a position where you would potentially want to spend the money, but in the grand scheme of things, it is not expensive. I think it's like $9,000, but they do a fabulous job. They utilize Lemlist, they utilize email warming, it's partially done for you, and they even use Meet Alfred, right? So they'll teach you how to use it, and they'll do it for you, and they'll manage the dang thing. They do a fabulous job. It's called Green Revenue. I would be happy to make that introduction for you. If you want this one done for you, to at least get to that point where you're not ending up in spam, and you can do good top of funnel, because we have to feel supported. And while we can do some of it for you from a sales outreach perspective, Monty and his team are true, done with you digital marketers that are very, very good. So I asked Pam if she would be interested in that connection, and I'm more than happy to make that.
Okay. Yeah, I'll mention that to her.
Yeah. Just because this is a lift. I'm not going to say it's not a lift. And frankly, even with them, it could take up to 3 months. Without them, you're going to have a learning curve, and I can walk you through as much as I can walk you through, and teach you how to do as much as I can. But at some point, you guys can make the decision of if it's worth the time or not.
Yeah. Well, and it's also my question is, okay, we invest that money, they do it for us, we're able to get this up and running quicker, but it's also like, okay, if we're able to get this going, how quickly could we recoup that $9,000?
Absolutely. And to me, like, you've already pushed things through your pipeline. You've already done a lot of streamlining, so that this program, okay, you've basically paid for it. You already got somebody to close faster than you normally would have. You already got another person in the pipeline. Like, okay, things are moving fine. The next one is, okay, let's level up your marketing so that you can utilize this program even further and faster. In my mind, it's just a non-issue. To me, I would say, yep, invest it. If you've got it, invest it.
Right.
But it may be different. I don't know your finances, so maybe not, especially right before end of year.
I don't get control.
So,
but it's definitely worth at least opening up the door for that conversation and looking at it, and at least pushing for like, hey, let's have a conversation with them and figure that out. Because as
absolutely.
I feel like it's that, which I think everyone in this group it's the twofold of how to properly market to actually build up the pipeline, and then how to like properly close the pipeline. Which I think everyone in the group is struggling with those two things.
Yeah. And it's so funny because it's 2-part, right? Like when we first started this, I thought it would be much more, let's move through the sales process, which we do. Like when it comes to pipeline management, pipeline review, and accountability on Thursdays, that's why I really enjoy those. But if you're not having enough meetings to supply those, then we need to start thinking, okay, we have limited resources. How many meetings could we actually go to? Do we have a solid sales presentation? Can we start thinking through the sales piece of it? But oh yeah, by the way, we also have to focus on the marketing side. And And luckily, we've got great friends in the industry where we've got Marketopia, we've got Monty over at Green Revenue. We've got these resources that we can pull in so that we're not doing it alone. And I want to make sure that you guys are feeling supported. So
I appreciate it.
yeah, you got it, girl. So, all right. Well, do you have any other questions before I let you just melt into a sea of to-do items now?
No, it's about lunchtime for me. So I think I just need like some food and just let my brain digest while my stomach digests.
Okay. Well, I'm going to send over the invitation to everybody through Rachel to join the Discord channel. And so if you do have any questions pop up when you're signing up for any of this, you should be good to go.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I'll see you later.
I might see you tomorrow. Oh,
I mean,
probably be
I'll be here. I will be here.
all right. Bye.
All right. Bye.